please, ladies and gentlemen, we will all have our turns to ask about the discovery. But first, we need to get some things cleared up for our broader YouTube audience. Mr. the Sterninator, you were the one who first discovered this tablet, correct?
Oh, please. Mr. the Sterninator was my father. Call me Stern. Welcome to the channel.
All right, Mr. the Sterninator, what can you tell us about this mysterious tablet that you claim to now have in your possession? Is it cursed? Are you cursed? Will you be cursing in this video?
No, listen, I'd love to talk to you guys about the discovery of a generation, but first, greetings and bienvenue, come on in, sit on down, as today we are taking another look at cryptid-based Pokémon.
Stern, haven't you done this video 1,000 times before?
I mean, yeah, but here's the thing, this one's a little different. Rather than just looking at the idea of cryptids and leaving it all alone, instead we're looking at invigorating these ideas with lore-centric ideology that's bringing these cryptid Pokémon into a story within the Pokémon world. So without much further ado, let's hop right into today's video.
Hey, you need to rock it, okay? It's what we do.
So, yeah, I uncovered this ancient tablet that seems to show several Pokémon hitherto unknown, and I ain't talking about that type of unknown. I was sat over at my desk attempting to decipher these runes, when suddenly, something manifested itself from the tablet. It appeared at first to be some kind of discolored rotom, but upon further investigation, probing, and a quick few sandwiches, followed immediately by a brief watching of the family stone, I'd seemingly upset the poor little guy, and it flew off and out the window. Before it left though, I was able to get a good glimpse of it. The Pokémon seemed to have an outer shell with the appearance of a rude face cast over a simple stone. Within it hides a geode-style gem on either side of the shell, with the true face of the Pokémon stuck in a permanent grimace. I believe that while our typical Rotom is a technological spirit, this is some kind of ancient ancestor, one that instead possesses relics and artifacts. This explains why it was doing kind of that hide in the tablet type of vibe, although the true length of its power has not yet been unveiled to me, and oh boy, would that unveiling be spectacular. So meet the Pokemon that I've named Loricue.
Loricue, the Lore Keeper Pokemon. It is well known by ancient cultures that this Pokemon can be quite the trickster, possessing relics and bringing paintings and statues to life. While it typically does so just for the sake of fun, it has also been known to possess powerful structures in an attempt to push back humans from trespassing on its domain.
He's a cute little guy that I did really want to get that Rotom, Tapu, Petarant energy too. And while I was excited for the concept, I was blown away by what we were able to come up with. The name obviously holds within it the word lore, meaning the history of something, and boy, does that fit as our story progresses. I tracked the spirit across the United States as it flew and left a path of absolute devastation. The first place that I tracked it was to the California wilderness, known for massive trees, rushing streams, and sightings of their own mysterious monster. We are talking about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the North American wood ape himself. And as I followed Loricue, I was actually able to track it all the way to a local shop featuring a massive statue of the Sasquatch, right out front to greet customers. I thought I had it cornered as it was trapped, me on one side and the carved Bigfoot statue on the other, when it suddenly merged itself with the statue. The ground shook, the sky darkened, someone peed my pants a little bit, and the statue began to move. This mountain of a mon suddenly lurched forward, swiping at me and knocking over the other nearby statues. Its long and flowing hair twisted itself into vines that wrapped around food trucks and flung them with such great force that I thought that I was about to meet Arceus himself, and not in the fun way. For the design, I wanted to go with that classic Bigfoot shape, with the body appearing almost like a group or cluster of mountains, leading up to the head sitting on its very peak. I looked at Pokemon like Grimmsnarl as an example for the hair shape, and also really like how Pokemon like Buzzwole captured the musculature of a person without being flat out muscles like Pokemon like Machamp. I also wanted to keep in mind that ancient type of feel to this Pokemon, like it could have existed millions of years ago. People have been reporting Big Feet sightings as far back as DeviantArt has recorded. Wait, sorry, I typed it in the search bar wrong. No, Bigfoot sightings have been happening since ancient history in America, but the most prevalent in modern history comes from 1958, where Jerry Crew discovered a massive 16-inch footprint in California, which, as a size 12, has me kind of concerned that could have just been one of my relatives. But regardless, the stories continued to spread. Even further back in 1811, explorer David Thompson discovered four-toed footprints near Jasper. So when adapting cryptids into Pokemon, I absolutely had to do, as so many have failed to, and capture Bigfoot. So meet Grassquatch.
Grassquatch, the hairy man Pokemon. While sightings have been rare, trainers and researchers continue to urge the community that this Pokemon does in fact exist. However, with such a wide frame, its likelihood of remaining hidden for so many years remains questionable.
The hairy man Pokemon feels weird, but then again, Jinx is the human-shaped Pokemon, so we've experienced weirder. The shiny gets more of that green and grassy feel, and while I've already drawn Bigfoot as a Pokemon oh so many times, it feels like there's always new venues to take the design, and this one is by far my favorite, probably just because it's the most recent. So I'd single-handedly stopped this rampaging monster, with nothing but my own brute force and it getting distracted by an ice cream cart. Once it had finished decimating the Choco Tacos, Laura Q emerged from the enormous Pokemon and once again flew off, leaving the statue to crash and crumble in its wake. I hopped in my car and gave chase all the way to West Virginia.
Almost heaven. West Virginia.
I just pulled up in Point Pleasant when I saw it, the massive metal Mothman statue, and I was just about to get my wits about me and put a coin in its butt crack, as the locals have told me was tradition, when Laura Q came from around the corner and possessed this metal structure. Taking control of a wooden carving is one thing, but this time Laura Q had stepped up its game. Not only had it gotten all of the strength and stamina of your typical run-of-the-mill Mothman, but this time it had all of the strength and stamina of your typical run-of-the-mill steel sculpture. So I knew that I wanted this thing to feel like an absolute tank, but still wanted some of those meaty bits, almost as though the real Mothman were trying to burst forth from the outer carapace. This one ended up being a ton of fun to design, as I'd drawn Mothman a few times prior, but never in this ironclad form. Genesect came to mind immediately, but so did others like Durant and even Ferroseed, which I recently found out I've been pronouncing wrong for years. Do I intend to fix that? No. Do I like being difficult? Most definitely. So I played with the colors for a bit, starting with blue, then purple and yellow for the tummy, but ended up going with something more visceral, something that harkened to the Mothman's more violent nature. In the end, I went with a standard steel-blacked white to mimic wood moths, and that deep red of the wings brought down into the body to feel like musculature underneath that cold steel. So here's our guy, Ferrosect.
Ferrosect, the metal moth Pokemon. Reports have been made of this Pokemon stalking humans. The red patterns on its wings mimic giant eyes to fool onlookers into believing it is much bigger, with many reports only remembering the giant red eyes. Its wings can cut through trees and allow it to fly silently through the night.
Oh, I dig this, and even the shiny makes it look like a golden color. Throws off the name a bit, but This name is a combination of insect and ferrous, meaning metal or metal alloy. Its name is steel bug, technically. Its category is actually also steel bug by definition, and its typing is water fairy. Just kidding. It's also steel bug. Once again, I braved against this massive and menacing metal moth of misdemeanor and misdirection before it was suddenly stopped and scared by the flashing lights of police cars approaching down Point Pleasant Central Street. Laura Q had no choice but to stand down, drop the sculpture, and fly off east. So very far off east. For many nights, I tracked it across the East Coast, across the Atlantic Ocean, and into Monan, Cornwall in the UK. Luckily, there aren't very many monstrous statues near or around the old church where I tracked it, but this is where I learned another trick of this mischievous Pokémon. It was drawn to the old church and was perplexed by a carving in the church wall featuring an owl-like figure. As it flew into the crumbling stone of the old building, it manifested itself still into a great and thunderous bird. The Owlman is typically described as being a dark gray or silver color, and has earned the moniker of Death Raptor, alongside many other names. But I think we can all agree that Death Raptor is the coolest by far. Being that it's seen as the counterpart to the US Mothman, I wanted to go for a different direction in this design so that we wouldn't be immediately reminded of one that we actually just did. I went with this electrically charged bird, almost as though it caused the dark and dreary weather that encapsulates the area.
But Stern, if you wanted to go for a Thunderbird, why not go for the Rock, an actual Thunderbird?
Excellent question, and also I hate you. See, I've done a ton of cryptids before in other videos, with the Rock already making an appearance, but I wanted to re-tackle the Owlman to give it just a little bit more oomph. Other than that, I can't really explain.
But Stern, couldn't you do that same type of treatment by getting it to be something that made a little bit more sense with the lore? It just feels like you're taking the easy way out because you want to finish the video when in reality, you know that you could do more and do better if you stopped looking at the clock and just focused on what ideas you wanted to do instead of what ideas you felt you were capable of.
Here's Raptowl.
Raptowl, the dreary Pokémon. Wherever this Pokémon roosts, the skies grow dark. Reports have been made of its distant calls echoing throughout old churches and historical relics. While legends and ghost stories do tend to lead people into fearing this Pokémon, they are very good caretakers and will sacrifice themselves willingly to protect their friends and loved ones.
Yeah, dark worked better. I do so dig those deep and muted purples. They give an air of fearsomeness, while still allowing a sense of kindness, with this guy appearing like if Noctowl really wanted to be a Blaziken, and got halfway through before just giving up. I'm not projecting, you're projecting. So I just finished toppling the wall on top of that dreaded creature, only to realize too late that Laura Q had vanished. It flew off during the commotion, and I'd just been punching a wall for the last 3 hours like my name was Kyle and my mom had just taken away my World of Warcraft privileges. But who needs WoW when we have games like Raid Shadow Legends? Right now, if you sign up, no time, Laura Q is on his way to Texas. So I boarded a plane and made my way to Texas in hot pursuit. Luckily, Spirit Airlines had cheap seats since becoming Spirit Halloween Airlines, and I was there in a matter of seconds. I tracked it down to a little ranch in Suero, Mexico. I tracked it down to a little ranch in Cuero, Texas, where the famous stuffed chupacabra rests on display in the home of Phyllis Canyon. I got there just in time and dove in front of the Laura Q, causing it to merge not with the chupacabra, but instead with my lizard skin boots that I'd bought at the airport gift shop. I knew it was a bad deal, but that salesman was just so persuasive. So here's the thing, the Chupacabra has gone through so many iterations through the years, not just in my designs, but just our understanding or non-understanding of the creature. From canine to reptilian to something in between. And while I did want to capture that goat sucker, I'd already done a canine version and so went with the blood-sucking lizard variation. but this time with a twist. I always love when Pokemon have a few layers to them, like how Electivire is an electrical beast, but also a caveman-inspired design, or how Paldean Tauros takes inspiration not just from bulls, but from Spain's rich bull-related history, or how Bramblegast sucks. So here, I wanted the Lizardus Chupacabra with that Tex-Mex flavor. Yeehaw! Feeling like a cowboy caballero. I actually ended up doing 2 versions of this design, and while the first came out pretty nice, it didn't quite hit the vibe I wanted. So that'll be over at the Patreon, and if you want to own these designs and others like them, then head on over to the Ko-fi. That link should be appearing right about now. So check those out and let's wrangle us a cryptid. Give a howdy to Lazaro, Pilgrim.
Lazaro, the tanning Pokemon. Some claim to have spotted this Pokemon lurking around cattle grounds and stealing off with Tauros or Miltank. It's able to extend the loop on its tail into a lasso and wrangle nearby Pokemon into close quarters, where it is able to sink in its teeth and rob them of vital energy.
It's the tanning Pokemon, get it? Like how reptiles bask in the sun like they're tanning, but also how hides are tanned to make boots? Furs or boots with the fur? With the fur? Sure to have the whole club looking at your. The name also rings out lizard and lasso, which just seems to fit so nicely. So I ended up letting the little guy go. Turns out, he just wanted a place to belong. And isn't that something that we all kind of deserve? But rest assured, he is still out there, still wreaking havoc and still causing chaos in every step that he floats. In fact, I've made a new channel over on the Discord where you guys can upload your cryptid-based Pokemon, and who knows, maybe at some point Loricue may turn them into real-life Pokemon, but that's up to you guys to decide. But on the other hand, who was your favorite? Who are you adding onto the team? Let me know down in the comments below, and hey, while you're down there, maybe consider stopping by the description where you can find various opportunities to support the channel. I'd love to see you over at our Patreon where you get access to videos early, high-resolution images of these Pokemon, as well as the Photoshop files that turned these cryptids into life. Or you can become a YouTube member where we have all sorts of extra goodies over there too, including getting access to those videos early, just like over at the Patreon. But with all of that said, it does sound like you know where to find me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Yo, he's the Sterninator, Commission Terminator, it's beautiful work. I'm choked up like Darth Vader. If you hating on my man, you not a smart hater. He'll draw anything from Digital Circus to Arc Raiders. Hobbies played time, Bendy and the Ink Machine, Five Nights at Freddy's Shoot. He drew the whole team. His blends of Pokemon with loads of franchises. If you listening to this, guess you know where to find him.